Hello and welcome to Racing Incident, a Formula One and sometimes other motorsport podcast in an American accent and apparently a Chicago accent. I'm Anna, and joining me again, of course, is the lovely Tasha.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Anna.
Hi.
How's it going?
Strikes and gutters. So, Big Lebowski reference.
Right.
Yeah. How about you?
I'm doing great.
Yeah.
It's actually thunderstorming here, so in case you hear any loud crashes.
Okay, cool. That's kind of,
yeah.
I like it. It's like an atmosphere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Little acts of God outside happening. Just in case.
Yeah. Okay, good to know.
Yeah. ASMR.
Yeah.
Very violent ASMR.
I don't know if it's relaxing. Yeah, no, I'm thinking that's not. No. What's like the opposite of ASMR, like a frightening sound?
I sleep through thunderstorms, so I feel
Oh, yeah, me too.
I have, it's lovely. Well, until it gets violent, and then it's
I mean, sometimes it can get a little much. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tornado season, so you never know. I know.
Yeah. So how did you enjoy did you have a nice relaxing non-race weekend? I kind of enjoyed myself, actually.
I did. I just signed up for this social media called Letterboxd, which is basically like for movie lovers, or if you want to just log movies that you watch and you want to review them.
Oh, so Goodreads, but for movies?
Basically.
Yeah.
And so, a lot of people take their films very seriously. I'm very not serious. So my kind of list that I started this past weekend was movies I'm just now watching for the first time in my 30s. And it's all the films everybody is you have to watch this, or everybody loves it. And funny enough, I started with Arnold Schwarzenegger movies, and so I watched Terminator 2. I watched Twins for the first time. Seriously.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know it's bad.
I mean, but
I've never watched any of these movies. I've only ever seen them the little clips, from the I Love the 80s MTV stuff or whatever. But I've never watched.
I feel Terminator 2 holds up.
Terminator 2 was great.
Yeah.
I also watched True Lies for the first time, and I watched it twice in a row because it's so good.
I love
James
True
Cameron.
Lies. Oh my God. I used to own it. Back when people owned movies.
Physical media, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I used to own it, and so I watched it fairly frequently. I love it. It's so funny. It's so good. Yeah.
I was dying laughing. Bill Paxton's character was
oh my God, the best.
I wasn't expecting, because everybody only ever talks about Jamie Lee Curtis and that, her striptease scene, but you really don't get an idea of the movie.
And even that's
that's
funny.
A great scene.
And and she's incredible.
Oh my God. I was like, let me go to the gym. But it's just you don't really get a sense of what the whole movie's about, and so when you finally watch it.
Oh my God, I know that movie so well.
It was so good. I watched it Saturday, and then the next day on Sunday. I was
do you know, I actually think about that movie a lot. I think about that scene where they this is still a Formula One podcast, I swear. But we're gonna talk about this because
we're reminiscing over our weekend.
Yeah, I have to say, there was no race, so we got to relax and hang out. So I think about that scene a lot where they pretend to kidnap her or whatever, and she's in front of the two-way mirror, and they're trying to and they're interrogating her, and she's like, it's just that there's so much I wanted to do with this life, and I haven't done any of it. And I'm like, oh, I can relate.
It's so relatable, yeah.
It's so relatable.
It was so relatable.
I'm like, why can't, I'm like, I would go to my husband, are you sure you're not a spy?
Right.
Because that's, that would be helpful.
Spice it up a little bit, yeah.
I mean, I love any kind of spy stuff or the whatever.
Same.
I used to be obsessed with that show Covert Affairs, and I don't know if you ever watched it. It was on USA Network,
I think I started it.
It was Piper Perabo, I think. Played, I don't know if that's how you say her name, but I don't necessarily think a lot of her as an actress necessarily. I mean, although I haven't seen her in that many things.
Yeah.
Other than like that and Coyote Ugly,
Coyote Ugly, yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's But I'm like that's it. That's my life. That's my if I had like if there was like a parallel universe where I could be someone that would be me. That like I'm like that's so funny. That's what I want to do.
That's exactly how I am as well. I'm like I love spy stuff. Mission Impossible 1 is like my favorite like movie, like comfort movie.
Oh,
like,
I'll just put that on. Interesting.
Yeah, I love it. I'm an action thriller. I love all of that type of like that genre of movies. And yeah, like I would, if I could be anything, I'd probably be like a CIA agent.
Oh
like,
yeah, same.
Why not?
Same. I'm like,
and I feel like we'd have a great cover where it's like a podcast, like who would ever guess?
I mean,
now we can't. Yeah.
I mean,
can't use this cover,
it's like a cover within a cover.
Layers, yeah.
Inception, another great movie.
Lovely movie, yes, I love that movie.
I mean, I used to play with my friends. Like we used to be at the library, and we would like pretend like we were spies, and we'd be like hiding around behind bookcases, going like pretending like we had like this goes back to like a long way. Yeah, for some reason in my mind, I feel like I would be awesome at it. Like I
feel like women are probably naturally like better spies. Yeah, and like better at like cover.
I think so too. Yeah, because we can like gain someone's trust. I feel like more easily, and yeah. Well, women are just like better at most things, in my opinion. So or like when you have a woman, like when like I've had a like when you choose like a doctor or whatever, anything. I'm like I'm always going with a woman, and if possible a woman of color, and like stuff like that, because I'm like I know that they're gonna be better.
Right.
Just because like
true. Yeah, we're not the bias is they'll probably listen, like they'll probably take things you say more seriously. I just
feel like they'll be better, whatever it is. They're most likely going to be better. Like there's a higher chance anyway. Okay, so if you've enjoyed this, very important question before we actually talk about Formula One, is have you seen The Americans? It's a TV series.
I started it. So that has what's her face in it? Oh my god.
Carrie Russell.
Carrie Russell, yes.
Yeah.
I actually just watched, she has a new Netflix show that's kind of like The Diplomat.
It's on my list. It's on my list.
It's great. I watched it in one day because I was
that's right. That's right. I feel like we talked about this.
Cards. Yeah, it's like House of Cards meets like West Wing. I actually think there was like a West Wing writer who writes the new show. So yeah, cool. I love it. And yeah, it's fun to watch. It's a good watch.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Americans is on my list.
You gotta see it.
For some reason, and I think this is kind of goes back to like why I started this list of like, restarting movies or watching movies for the first time in my 30s, because I feel like I understand more like the dialogue. I think when I started The Americans, not that like I didn't understand it, like, but it just kind of hits different right now. Like everything, I'm paying a lot more attention to dialogue and like how things are kind of like unraveling. I understand a lot more of like the geopolitical stuff going on. So it just makes it hit more. And that's why like I love going back and rewatching so many of these like films and TV shows. But yeah, The Americans, I think I got like two or so episodes in, and I was maybe not feeling like the pacing of it or something. Like something didn't hook me right away. Like the overall concept, I feel like, obviously I would enjoy, but just something didn't hook me right away. But I've had that problem before with shows where it's like, I watched like the Game of Thrones pilot maybe 4 or 5 times before like actually
I've never seen a single minute of Game of Thrones, and I'm gonna
you're missing
try
out.
to
when you finally get into it, it's so worth it.
Well, I would say the same about The Americans.
First episode, I was like, oh god, I don't think I could pay it, because you have to actually pay attention. Well, and I feel like a lot of my problem sometimes is I want to be on my phone,
Same.
So it's like when you finally pay attention, you're like, that's what this is about. Okay.
Yeah. You have to. I would say you have to pay attention to The Americans also, but it's also but it's so much just about the acting too. Like I feel like they're just and I don't know if you know, but she married that guy. They met on set, and they actually ended up getting married, and so it's really cute. Yeah, nice. And they still are, as far as I know, and they might have kids. I don't know. But yeah, no, I love that. Like and that's like apparently a real. If people don't know, The Americans is about like this couple that are Russian, like KGB spies. They're under like deep cover, like living here as an American couple with kids. You know, they've been here for like 20 years. They've like had all this time to, or something like that. And they're, yeah, anyway. It's so good. You have to give it another chance. Okay. So now that we've gotten over that, we'll have to start like a movies and TV shows podcast, I think, in addition to this one, in all our spare time.
Right.
Yeah, that we have so much of.
Because there's so many gaps in this season. It's like,
I mean, you know,
might as well catch up on our movies.
Oh yeah, maybe we should. Well, we could actually watch like racing movies, maybe, or we could watch like there's a lot of good documentaries I haven't seen yet. That people have recommended to me, all different stuff. Some things I've seen, but there's so much out there.
There's a lot of content. Yeah,
there's so much, especially if you watch stuff about other racing series and stuff. Also, then it's insane. But don't forget, guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our lovely, beautiful channel and like, comment, do all the things. And of course, if you're listening on some kind of podcasting platform, presumably you're already subscribed. But if you already are subscribed, there's still more you can do. You can give us a rating, or if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can rate and write a little review also. Tell everyone how awesome we are so that they check us out. And because, people do go to, I look at those things when I'm considering a new podcast a lot of the time, and people might make a decision based on that. You want them to decide to listen to us, so help us out there.
Support. It's so nice. Yeah.
Yes, support. We're trying to get to 100 ratings on Spotify. So please help us out there. We're trying to get to 50 ratings on Apple Podcasts. So keep the rating going. And and don't forget to follow us on the socials. We are at @racing_incident. Don't forget the underscore at both Twitter and Instagram. And, tell people about us also. Word of mouth, very important, very underrated, I think, by a lot of people. So, yeah. In fact, all our talking about TV, frankly, a fabulous segue.
Nice.
I know. I'm a professional.
You're so good at this, Anna.
I do this for not a living. Yeah.
If they support the channel, we could be doing this for a living.
Guys. Guys. That's right. That's right. I'm just saying. Formula One, if you guys haven't heard, is getting into the scripted TV business. Yes, the jokes write themselves. Everyone's. I've seen so many versions of the same joke.
Right.
You're all very funny. You're all, and I've seen the joke from you guys who are Lewis fans like us, who are like, they already had the first episode. It was, Abu Dhabi 2021,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I didn't need that. I'm trying to move past it. I've basically moved past it, I guess. I'll never fully move past it, but the
reminders, so many reminders.
Yeah,
like you try to move on, and it's like you keep getting sucked back in.
Yes. And I don't need that. My life's got enough challenges in it. I don't need.
I want to relive that. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Of course it's important. It's like, I did get there. It did get to the point, I remember even in 2021 where people were posting things like, like never forget. I'm like, okay, guys, like that's for like the Holocaust. All right. Like,
it was bad, but we're not
it was like, I get it. I get it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, or something like that. No one died.
It was pretty traumatic, though, I will say.
It was extremely traumatic.
I was watching something. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no, it was traumatic. But no one died.
Yeah.
And, that's not to minimize it. That's not to say that it's just like...
There was a lot going on. Yeah. Emotions were running high. We'll just say that much.
I get it. I get it. I'm not judging. I don't judge anyone for maybe going a little over and I understand because I felt all those things too, of course. So yeah, no, I was in all the Twitter spaces. We're all like having collective therapy.
It was a bad time, yeah.
Okay. It's like my heart rate's gone up just thinking about it. But yeah, so F1 is there was a story that they are going, so the scripted TV business, like for real, not just Drive to Survive and like other things. Yeah, an actual series, which is going to be called One. It's not presumably the one being like Formula One, I guess, but I'm like, that's okay, that's fine.
So dramatic,
it's short and pithy.
Already,
I know, right, yeah. One. Yeah. One. It's very dramatic. Well, I guess, Formula One's dramatic. I don't know.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of this could actually be good, maybe. Because I'm going to stay positive. Because it seems like the people who are involved are pretty good. Like the writers, I forgot their names, but they were nominated for an Oscar for Children of Men, which you could put that on your list if you haven't seen that, by the way. That's an amazing movie.
Okay.
Yeah, really, really good.
Recommendations. I will add that to my list.
Yes. It's excellent. And so these writers were nominated for an Oscar for it, so it's well written. The Oscars, but but take it from me. I'm more powerful than the Oscars, right? So
you're more honest, at least. No one had to campaign.
I am more
to
honest.
Get you just because,
That's true. I would, that is 100% accurate. So yeah, they wrote Iron Man, which, it was pretty well written, I would say, for like
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. They created The Expanse, which is this much beloved sci-fi franchise TV show. I've watched, we did watch a lot of it at one point, but then there's like so many seasons, and we were like, I'm like burned out. Like I can't keep going. But that's also very good. So, but One will focus on the tumultuous ascension of a fictitious family-owned Formula One team as it contends with fierce personalities, ever-changing rivals, and multi-million-dollar stakes.
Nice. So it's like Dynasty, Succession, Yellowstone, like all of those. Of family
which is
drama,
which is like what Formula One is anyway.
Yeah.
So
it'd be perfect.
It's perfect. Yeah. And Felicity Jones is the only person that we know so far who's going to star in it. She is, if people don't know who she is, she's a British actress, which I guess is good because she won't have to fake a British accent. Of course, most actors are good at that sort of thing, I suppose, but some are better than others. I'm always really impressed when British people do a good American accent.
Yeah.
I'm always like I remember not knowing for years that Sam Neill was British, because I had seen like Jurassic Park and I was like, whoa.
Yep. Yeah.
And the certain people
when he would speak,
certain people you're just like, whoa. Yeah. They're American. Some people's American accent is not as good. Yeah. I can't think of who right now, but I didn't think Emma Thompson's was that good in that movie where she played like the president's wife or the guy running for it was supposed to be like the Clintons. She was supposed to be like it was like I forget what the movie's called. Yeah, I thought hers wasn't, which I was shocked because it's like Emma Thompson. Right. But, maybe everyone has their limits. Colin Farrell has an amazing American accent.
Yeah, he does.
Which, also someone you'd never know. Okay. Anyhow, we're going to have to do a movie podcast, I'm just saying. Yeah. But so Felicity Jones, if people don't remember, you might know her from The Theory of Everything, which was that kind of biopic about Stephen Hawking. She played his wife. She was, I think, nominated for some awards for that. It was a good performance. She was
She's a
in,
great actor, yeah.
yeah, she was in Rogue One, a Star Wars story. She played, Jen Erso, or however you say that. So yeah, we don't know anything else about any other cast members. We don't know much. This is all we know. But
Yeah.
considering it seems like a good writing team, and
yeah,
good, it seems so. Of course, a lot of people are already like, oh, is it going to be like she's like a Claire Williams type,
maybe.
perhaps.
Yeah. I
But
mean, honestly, I think
yeah.
it's kind of cool that they would kind of go this route. I mean, they have obviously Drive to Survive, which is cool, and that's more of like a, you know, docu-series. And granted, yes, we know that there's some scripted elements to it. The storytelling, is
Yeah.
very, we'll say they take some liberties. But yeah, I think the idea of like having like a scripted drama of Formula One is actually really smart. And especially right now because motorsport is just having a huge moment,
Yeah.
particularly Formula One. Why not? Like again, everybody's loving these dramas about family business and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, what's another one? And if it's going to be well written, I think that to me is more so, I think, going to make it watchable. I mean, obviously, yes, it would be cool to see a Formula One show, but if it's not well written, I don't see how
Yeah.
it would be enjoyable. So as long as they get it, the writing down, like
Yeah.
I'm there. Like I'll watch it regardless. So
Yeah, we'll see. I'll
yeah,
be curious to know. I'm sure we'll get more news on this in the
yeah,
future as they, because again, it's like in the super early stages. Like this was on like, Deadline, which, is like an
mm,
industry type publication. So it's in the early stages. It's not like there's any
yeah,
dates or anything yet or whatever.
mm,
And but yeah, for me, this is also, it was interesting that they mentioned in the story, because it was like, obviously written from like a press release, so you've got like the
right.
quotes from like the key people, and they had a quote from the F1 head of original content, whose name is Isabel Stewart, apparently. I'm like, oh my God, what a cool job.
Wow,
Head of original content.
that's so
I'm
cool.
like,
Huh?
I just wonder, I'm so curious about what it is that she does. Is it stuff like this? Because this is kind of one of the first, like, other than this and the Brad Pitt movie, I don't know if there's
Yeah,
been other things that are like trying to portray Formula One in a scripted either film or TV show.
yeah.
So does she also, I'm just so curious. I wonder if she also oversees like original content that they make like for online, or for, is it like that type of thing
Like
too? I
yeah,
don't
the
know.
extent of it.
But
That'd be
yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
cool job.
I wonder if it's like, when doctors are on like the set of movies and like TV show, making sure that like the actors,
Right.
say things correctly and like they sound
Right.
believable. Like I
Consultants,
wonder,
yeah.
yeah, but I wonder if like that's kind of how like a role that she'll be. Obviously, it sounds like she is helping to develop them, but I wonder
Yeah.
if also on set she kind of takes that role of
Maybe.
like, oh, it's like this, and or it's more
Mhm.
like that, or like maybe
Yeah.
she's just making sure that F1 doesn't get shown in like a very negative light, you know what I mean? Because you never know how writers want to, drive the story, drive the narrative. So
Yeah.
I'm sure there's
Yeah.
part of it is keeping F1 looking as
I
good as
mean, I'm
possible while
sure
also
I'm
diving
sure that
into,
that's
yeah,
yeah, I'm sure that that's part of it. Like they don't,
yeah,
I'm sure that there's
yeah,
no yeah, that they have, I don't know for sure, but like on Drive to
right,
Survive, I've got to believe that like they have some kind of, you if not like final cut, then like some kind
right,
of say probably, and they probably see things before they get
yeah,
released, I would imagine.
yep.
And yeah, like I got a strong sense of that from the which I think is not good, from actually the IndyCar docuseries that they did, 100
I
Days
haven't
to
watched that
Indy.
yet. Yeah,
Yeah, it's I mean, you can check it out. It's pretty good. Like there's some
yeah,
episodes that are better than others, and it's very short. Unfortunately, it's way
hmm
too short in my opinion. And I mean, I think anyone would agree. But yeah, I was like, oh, I'm really feeling the fact that this was like produced by the people that own IndyCar and the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and a little
hmm
bit like I felt like, it was, maybe that's just me,
yeah,
but yeah, with Drive to Survive, I feel like there's not. I mean, I do think there's a lot of that actually too, if you really
yeah,
look deeply. at how things are portrayed and kind of how, you know, they don't cut back on the drama or anything at all.
Right.
But they maybe they manufacture extra drama sometimes.
Right.
But but I think that it's a certain viewpoint still, you know, which I guess which like is what you'd expect. But yeah, I think the TV show, I'm psyched to see where that goes, and I'm really excited. I assume we would get the Brad Pitt movie even before that. Maybe I'm excited about that too. Just knowing
that's
that
in production.
yeah, because Lewis is like super, super, super involved. Like if people don't know, he's like he keeps talking. He can't. You can tell he's really excited about being involved with it.
Yeah,
because he can't stop talking about it. Because he's
absolutely,
like, yeah, I'm
gushing,
yeah, we're on calls discussing the script. You know, he's like he's having a massive amount of input apparently, and yeah, because he's very focused on making sure that everything's depicted realistically, and he talks about he's focused on like he wants it to be a diverse like cast and crew, and of course also stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, awesome. So yeah, and I'm really excited for that. But hopefully this TV show will be good too. I mean, there's just like right now there's like this explosion of, like you said, because I guess motorsport is having a moment.
It's just having a moment,
It's having a moment. Yeah, there's like that there's also a movie that is going to be, what is it? Ryan Gosling and what's her name? Well, they just did Barbie together.
Oh, and Margot Robbie. Yeah. I think I just saw
there's
this.
Gonna be there's gonna be, so that's another thing that's coming. It's gonna be a movie that's like set during the 1960s.
And I think they're actually gonna be like Spies,
Monaco Grand Prix.
Yeah.
Oh, they're like, it's like a heist.
That.
It's like some kind of a heist.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like sort of a period piece and a heist. I'm like, I'm like here for this. In Monaco, I mean, it's gonna be like.
It reminds me a little bit of a Man from U.N.C.L.E. There was like a Formula One sort of race kind of sprinkled in the storyline, as well, like a period piece as well from like the 60s. So yeah, I'm all about that.
Yeah,
and if we sprinkle a little bit of espionage into this one, I feel like it would just be the perfect show. So you know what I mean?
I know. I don't think that's on the
maybe
agenda.
Maybe corporate espionage. You know what I mean? Like maybe like
We already had they already had the real version.
Exactly.
But that was like not as. That would be cooler on a TV show, I feel like, because I feel like in real life it was like not that glamorous and dramatic at all. I mean, it was like the opposite of that.
Yeah, it was like a Xerox copier.
The lady and the guy happened to be a Ferrari fan. I mean, that part is like kind of amazing. Like that should stay how it is, and if they ever make a dramatization,
like official letterhead, and was like, oh, look that.
He like wrote
what
Ferrari,
a way to get
like
busted.
He called Ferrari. It was also super funny because it was like I mean, of course, I'm sure there are Ferrari fans in the UK, but it's like it wasn't like it was like Italy, and anyway, very funny.
What are the odds?
It's just hilarious. It's like, can you imagine you steal these like secret documents and then you go Xerox them at well, I guess there was nothing else to be done back then.
Right.
You know, she didn't have that cool. Yeah, the guy like sent his wife whatever, if people don't know. She didn't have the cool like thing that you see spies have, that thing where you like scan this thing over the page and then like this tape like comes out that's like I mean you know you see I've seen a lot of this stuff, so I know about all the gadgets.
I learned about microdots, and I was like, that's freaking cool. It's basically like they shrink down an 8.5 by 11 to like basically a dot, and it goes onto like, I don't know, an envelope or something. And then the spy will have like a magnifying glass, and you look inside of it, you see this like 8.5 by 11 sheet of it's crazy. Cool. I love all this shit. Like I learned it from like some YouTube where like they'll have like a former CIA agent will like rank like movies, like how realistic, you know, stuff is in movies. And so I learned it from that.
Cool.
And I was just like, that's so cool how they do like these, you know, these information drops or whatever. But I guess the amount of information she had wouldn't have fit on a microdot because it was like pages and pages and pages.
No, because it was like ridiculous amount of maybe they didn't have those back then. I don't know. But so that's cool news, and hopefully that's going to be good. We will of course give our full and honest review someday. I'm sure, when we get a chance to watch it. We definitely have to do a whole review episode when the Brad Pitt movie happens. That'll have to be like a
for
whole.
sure. And when Lewis's documentary comes out, like I
Oh
can't wait to see how they
yeah,
handle his
yeah.
documentary. And yeah,
Totally,
it's gonna be a lot of
totally.
content. I feel like we're gonna be
I
really fed over the
I'm
next like couple of
excited.
years. So yeah, I am too.
Yeah. There's so much, yeah, but like there, you couldn't. Feel free to make more people out there. That's fine. Something else this week that I thought was fascinating, and I have no segue at all, but there was this like story about that Franz Tost wanted Mick Schumacher to come drive for Alpha Tauri, which I thought I thought this was interesting because of the fact that a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people's opinion of Mick is pretty low. Overall, maybe, or at least, unless you're like a huge fan of his or whatever, the people would, I think you can't really say that Haas made the wrong decision. It doesn't seem like, because, Nico's been doing so well and he hasn't, wrecked the car.
He hasn't split the chassis in two, so
No.
he's doing great.
Some might say that's a low bar, but nevertheless,
yeah.
I mean, you gotta.
He's excelling.
Yeah, he's doing the thing, and but yeah, I thought this was really interesting, and that there was this allegation by Mick's uncle Ralph, who normally I think should just be quiet. He's he's really pissed off that he's not the famous Schumacher. Like you can just tell. He's like,
he really tries to keep himself relevant. It's like, please be quiet. Yeah, I agree. He should just shut up more.
Most of the time he needs to be quiet, but he claimed that, so who knows if anything that comes out of his mouth is true or accurate, or but he claimed that Helmut Marko had something against the Schumacher name and that he didn't want Mick at Alpha Tauri. Now Helmut Marko has denied this again, so it's just like he said, who knows, whether that's true or not. But I mean, I thought it was interesting only in that, Franz Tost is famously a great judge and molder of young talent. And he apparently had followed Mick's junior career closely, and and he thought that he would be a good fit, and I guess and who knows what Mick, what could have happened to Mick if his first team in Formula One, first and only team so far, and unless you count that he's reserved for Mercedes, wasn't Haas, where they obviously have no interest in developing anyone or patience or whatever. That's not the team to be at if you want to be given some time and patience and development. And I feel like, because people remember Yuki was quite a rough jewel.
Uncut gem, if you will. He was.
Very much. I mean, he also would, I don't remember if he crashed as much or what, but he had a bunch of incidents.
He wasn't like,
he was it was rough. And Franz Tost whipped him into shape, and look at him now.
Right.
And he who knows what he could have done with Mick. Although this year, this year but he would have still been here this year. Maybe it would have been still positive for Mick, but I thought that was interesting. So Franz Tost saw something in him. Maybe he's not completely hopeless like some people believe.
I feel like, I don't know, when I look at his like first two seasons, like genuinely I don't think he did the worst. However, on a team like Haas, who's struggling financially, the extent of the crashes that he was having was really like affecting their ability to develop the car, and I feel like a similar thing might happen at Alpha Tauri. It's not like yes, they're supported by Red Bull, but they're not, you can clearly tell that they're not developing that car. It's still the slowest car on the grid.
Well, they're trying.
Think that they can have. They're trying, but it's like it's still the slowest car. Yuki right now is working miracles, I think, in that thing, because he hasn't had brakes in 2 years. And we joked about this like a couple of podcasts ago, but it's the truth. Like they have not fixed just basic things on that car.
I know.
Um, and
It's
and it's
crazy.
and he has had to discipline himself. He took all that feedback about being temperamental, which he still kind of is, but like for the
Yeah.
most part he's definitely got more discipline. He's eating better. He
Yeah.
wants to be eating ramen and all that stuff, like he talks about that, but like you can definitely tell. So he's been more disciplined. He's taking more of a leadership role. He's doing the best he can in that car.
Totally.
um with Mick, I honestly think, to be honest, the best thing for him is the Mercedes reserve
Yeah.
driver role,
Yeah.
being in a place where like Toto clearly has taken him under his wing. They're nurturing him. They're putting him in the sim.
Yeah.
His sim work helped with the last race to set up the
Okay,
car.
we need to pause
Yeah.
a minute just to say
Yeah.
actually how lovely that was. And I
Yeah.
feel like a lot of people were bringing attention to this, but let us do so again
Yeah.
to talk specifically about the fact that Lewis mentioned it first, and then George mentioned it also.
Hmm.
I don't know if George would have mentioned it or not,
Right.
if not for, but I think that was because then that made like headlines. And
Yeah.
that puts Mick in a really positive light, of course, and makes
Absolutely.
him
Yeah.
seem like an asset to it, to
Hmm.
the team. And if someone like Lewis and George too, sure, if
Right.
people are praising his work,
Hmm.
and that means a great deal. And
Absolutely.
obviously Toto has also praised it, but he's not a driver, so it's like if when
Right.
there's the fact that they and that's just so Lewis, like he's just very
Yeah.
he's so, and you see them in the garage, they do
Team
seem to
effort.
be,
Yeah.
yeah, they do
He's
seem to be
very,
very
yep.
sweet and friendly, and like
Yep.
he, because Mick is so young, and of course I
Right.
think Lewis is definitely in that, he's for sure in
Like a
that,
mentor,
yeah,
big brother kind of role.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's in that headspace in general. Like I don't know if you saw,
Hmm.
but he, after, in the press conference after the Spanish Grand Prix, he I think I don't know if they asked him about the thing with Lando on the first lap or what, but he was like this it was another like big brother kind of like
Hmm.
uh moment where he was like, I think if Lando had been a little more patient, he said he
Yeah.
could have he could have finished in a better
Yeah.
position. He was like he kind of like he in a way he wasn't putting him down. I feel
Snarky.
like
Yeah.
I think it was sort of just like the more experienced driver saying that that you need to be a little more patient, and that you
Patience.
didn't
Yeah.
have to you didn't have to necessarily,
Yeah.
whereas Lando claims that he couldn't have avoided it or whatever. I don't know, who knows.
Yeah.
Lando's, I think Lando's just over it, because
Yeah. That will. Yeah.
I would
I feel
be.
bad for Lando.
I do too.
Like,
I do
gosh,
too.
qualified third and you end up like at the very
Oh
back
my
of the I
god.
mean,
Oh my
he
god. I
looked
mean,
like
he
he had been
did. I mean,
falling.
he
I
kind
mean,
of
I know
knew
he
that was,
wasn't, but yeah.
yeah, no. But I mean, he
Yeah,
kind
he
of
knew he
did,
would drop down, but
but
like to
not as bad as, yeah.
P20,
Yeah.
P19, like that's crazy.
I mean, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, Lewis
but
is like it's very
yeah,
sweet. It's very sweet
yeah.
how he said those things about Mick. And he must, that he, I really don't believe he would have just said it because he likes Mick and he's like a nice guy or whatever. I
Yeah,
think he must have actually really did good work
yeah.
and helped them, like he said that they were there till midnight, and then Mick
Yep.
went and flew to the track after all
Hmm.
that. So he's been working
Yeah.
hard, and that's commendable.
Yeah, I think it's the whole idea of like, because you talk about Alpha Tauri and, Marco, Helmut Marko is like very, very critical of those drivers. I mean, anytime he gets
Mhm.
an opportunity to like, give them their lashings in public in an interview, he
Yep.
does that. He's like, Nick DeVries, your seat's not in jeopardy, but it like he threatens them openly, like,
Yeah,
that you will
yeah.
be replaced. So for me, I feel like Mick kind of dodged a bullet there. I mean,
Mm,
I know he'd rather be driving in a seat, but at the same time, it's like, and I think this is where Lewis comes into play, and like a team like Mercedes comes into play, where they're a bit more nurturing with their talent
yeah.
versus being like abusive to their talent. It's that they're playing a longer game. Like this is, you know, we can talk nepotism, but Mick Schumacher I feel like it's a family name that they want to keep in the sport. It's obviously seems important that he stays around to some
For
capacity.
sure.
So do we want him to be here as a mediocre driver, or do we want to try to especially be the ones who nurture him into potentially a world championship driver?
Yeah.
Can we do that without him even being in a seat right now? And I think that they're trying to build his mentality up, because to me it felt like he just wasn't confident. And when you have Gunther in the press basically, berating you every other day, it doesn't build it doesn't build your confidence. And I feel like maybe thinking about like Lewis, he understands that, like, I think the driving skills can be taught. Like, yes, some
To some
drivers are
extent.
naturally faster than others. Yeah, there's like some natural talent involved, but I think there's a lot that can be taught. But I think
For
the
sure.
strong, like, mental health space, again, we talk about this all the time with Lewis, is like he's got like an ironclad like mental health. Like, if you can pass that on to somebody like a Mick Schumacher, who has the sweetest, most golden retriever energy, and you can tell,
I know.
like, he's such a sweet person. But do you have that animal instinct on the track? Not really. I mean, I saw glimpses of it. There were times
there was that one.
It
was it at Silverstone? Was that when he
was fighting with Max?
Yeah, or like that was good. And then also and then Max is like this huge dick about it, I remember, as usual. As usual, like, what else is new, Like, he was like, he made some comment, like, I forget what it was, like he's he didn't need, like, he made some derogatory comment sort of about him, in the sense, it wasn't derogatory per se, but it was sort of kind of like, what are you doing? You're not racing. Like, it was like that type of thing where, like, you're not racing me. And I'm like, no, like, that, he's still racing you to some degree. Like, it's
right.
Especially you hear drivers talk about how they learn things in races, especially when they've been in the sport for a year or 2 years, or a short time. They learn a lot. Like, Yuki has talked about how much he has learned in all those times that he was like defending from Lewis really well,
right?
Which has happened to him on several occasions. He's like, I've learned so much doing that. Or when he was behind Fernando, he said he learned, when he was behind, like, you learn a lot in doing things like that. So I'm like, why shouldn't Mick try to defend or like, he's like, when he didn't get many chances to do that,
exactly,
especially the year before, where that was like the lost year that but so, I mean, Max, whatever, our feelings, but I think maybe you're right. Maybe it's better this way. I mean, I'm sure Mick would see it differently.
True.
But
I think, like, looking at the ethos at Mercedes, and especially like looking at Lewis, I see it sort of like they played this long game with Lewis. Like, they basically brought, him into a team where they weren't winning. They won all these championships together.
Yeah.
In a sport where, like, from year to year, your job, your seat can change. They were like, we can play the long game with this driver.
Yeah.
And I feel like, to an extent, and I think George has talked about this a little bit, like, he feels like his space at Mercedes is secure. I think there's something to that game plan of, like, not changing your driver every 6 business days,
for sure.
I mean, and even like, we go back to Yuki at Alpha Tauri, like, yes, the way that they got him into, fighting shape essentially was very abusive. But again, it's just that, like, if you actually spend time developing your driver, look what they can do.
Yeah.
So, does maybe the sport need to change in the aspect of, maybe we don't need to swap people out every year? Maybe we could give people a little bit of a chance. I mean, budgets are, lots of things to take into consideration. Obviously, it's not just about keeping people around because you like them. It's a business first and foremost. But I think Mercedes has that cushion on their team where they're like, we can play a longer game here. I think Mick is part of that strategy, whether he drives for Mercedes or not, but it's going to look great on them for them to release them into a team. And he's a totally different driver than how we saw him at Haas. And that's because of how they trained him, basically.
I mean, time will tell. Like, who knows? Logan
Yeah.
Sargent's not setting the world on fire so far at
Yeah.
Williams, for example. We know that Mercedes has a good
That's true.
relationship with Williams. I mean, Toto's
Yeah.
like, I think still a part. I'm not sure if he's still
I think he
a
owns
part.
like a
I
very
think,
small percentage.
yeah,
I
he
think he
used
sold most of it, but he has like a very
right. He used to
small
own
stake
more
left.
of it.
Yep.
Yeah, he still
Yeah.
got. So it's like, so who knows what could happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think that I think there's a lot to be said though for being a nice guy. Like there's some, like, if you have
Yeah.
talent, of course people are going to put up with you even if you're a dick.
Right.
But or maybe they like that about you in some cases.
Right.
A lot of people think that that's a great personality trait. But if you're not the most talented, but you're really
Yeah.
nice, or you have a lot of other positive qualities, that does
Yeah.
go some way,
It
even
goes, yeah.
even in Formula One, which is so performance oriented and so performance based. Of course, like you
Yeah.
have to perform, but like there are there are those other factors. Like how else can you explain Danny Ricciardo? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, he charmed the shit out of people. Like, I mean, what can you say? Like, people
he's
wanted to give him a chance
yeah. I
because
mean,
he's
his first year,
good energy to have
his
around. Yeah.
second year at McLaren was like abysmal compared to the first year. Yeah, but the first year wasn't great either.
Yeah.
And somebody, if it was a different driver, if it was someone like if that had been like a Nick DeVries, for example, or something like that, not that he would have been there, but let's pretend, maybe that would have been the only year. Where or people or like people, and I think that goes for fans too. You see, there are definitely people like when you like someone as a person, it definitely makes them seem more talented maybe than they are, right?
Yeah.
Like because you like them, and so you want them to do well, and you want
Absolutely.
it, and you want them to have a a good situation, a good career, whatever the case may be.
Right. You're rooting for them.
Yeah, you're rooting for them, exactly.
I'm
I
rooting
think,
for you,
and
yeah.
people feel that way about Mick. I think, and
yeah.
I think it's not just it's definitely not just I think for sure. I mean, his name, of course, like
Yeah.
it's a factor. I mean, that's you can't escape that.
Right.
People think it's cool to have a Schumacher in Formula One,
Absolutely.
of course,
Yeah.
and are going to try to help him and do. But he's also he seems to be such a nice, decent,
normal human being for he could be an asshole. I mean, like, let's be real. He could just be like, my father, and he almost never really brings him up in that capacity. Like, usually it's a very sentimental way that he, whatever.
Both those kids are raised right. I'm just gonna say, like, they clearly, like, I think it's to do with I mean, obviously I'm sure their mom especially, but like, because she probably spent more time with them during the years when Michael was racing, but you can see that they had like this amazing family dynamic and relationship. And Mick, and then I have a friend who has a theory about this. Actually, she said that it's because, like, we were talking about this exact thing. She's not super into Formula One, but she knows like who the people are, sort of, whatever. And I was like, I was talking to her about this also. I'm like, Mick Schumacher, like, it's just like amazing. Like, he's, ridiculously rich. He's, he could be like a huge asshole and no one would think it was strange or weird or
you would expect it.
Yeah, you'd kind of expect it, right? And she's like, well, what would happen to his dad, that kind of trauma changes a person. And I was like, I think there's something to that. Like, I think, I mean, I think that you can be not a dick without having gone through through things in your life, hopefully. But I think there's something to that. I mean, and speaking from experience, like, I haven't gone through something like that, but like with my son, for example, I think that when you are dealing with something in your life where you have to, you have to gain a huge amount of empathy, or you have to learn a type of patience you didn't know you could even access, or things, it changes you. And it oftentimes, I think, makes you a better person. And so there might be something to that, honestly, because it's like you could just see, like, if people haven't seen that, the documentary about Michael that's on Netflix, I think it's just called Schumacher. Have you seen it?
It's on my list. I get very sentimental, or like very kind of I don't know, emotional about stuff like that, especially
Oh
knowing,
yeah. Oh, you're
what's
not
to
gonna.
come.
You're
Yeah.
okay. You're
I
gonna.
skip out on a lot of documentaries for that reason. Like
Yeah.
Amy Winehouse
Yeah.
documentary, I've never watched it. I've heard
Oh
great things. I
yeah.
just can't do it because I'm like, I just know the outcome, and it's like
Right.
I don't want to see
Right.
the happy lead up to what we
I
know is
know.
like.
I know.
So it makes me very emotional.
It's
And
actually, I
then
will
yeah,
say, it's basically mostly, it's,
yeah.
because you'll be thinking about it like the whole way through, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
you're saying, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's, no, there's, may
I have an
I
avoidant
suggest,
personality type, so that's like
I get it. I get it. I am the same,
yeah,
when it's things, but I don't have as much an issue with that, but I have
yeah,
other things like that for sure.
yeah.
But may I just say that when you do watch it,
Hmm.
when they do, there's like a thing with Mick at the end, and I don't remember if
Yeah.
there was stuff throughout or not. I've already forgotten. I don't think there's a lot, but there's a thing with him when you're getting towards the end and you see Mick. If you're not ready to cry, you may want to just
Oh
turn it
yeah.
off. I'm
See?
just saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even that like yeah. So now I kind of don't want to talk about it in case you do see it because I don't want to like I guess
Gonna
spoil it or
spoil
what.
it. Yeah.
Maybe it'll prepare you better for it though if it's
I don't know.
it's yeah, no, but it's just like you can just see yeah, I mean you can
Yeah.
see what that's done to him, I think.
Yeah.
Unlike it would, to anyone, but I mean they were very close. It's not,
Mm.
they were all very close knit family and still are, of course, but yeah. Yeah, it's really sad at the end. It's all okay the rest of the time,
Yeah.
I think. So just fair warning.
Prepare yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so yeah, you might be onto something, and maybe Mick's better off, even if he wouldn't see it that way. Maybe because if you think, yeah, especially now, if you were at Alpha Tauri
Mm.
with this car, a new
Mm-hmm.
team, a new everything, a new car, like you got to believe he wouldn't probably be doing great, because this would be when you go to a new team, it's an adjustment period. When you go,
Right.
there's like you see like with like Pierre at Alpine, like he hasn't kind of like fully settled in. I feel like
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
think he's definitely. I feel like overall on Esteban's level, or some people would say higher, but he hasn't performed on that level yet because Esteban's already been there for forever and
Right.
Pierre hasn't. So I don't think we could expect that. I think it's going to take a little more time. But yeah, so yeah, you could be right. We're going to put you in charge of Mick's career from now on. Mick, call Tasha. She can be
Yeah.
your
I got you.
manager.
I got you.
I think it would be a good decision
Yeah.
because I don't know about your uncle there. I mean, I don't know if he manages him, but he's always around. So I don't know if he obviously
Around,
has.
yeah.
I don't know if I have no idea if he is actually his manager or not, but he seems to have
I
a lot
hope
of
not.
say in the matter of
Good
anything.
grief. Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I'm just probably conflating him with like Carlos's cousin, maybe who like is his manager or
Right.
whatever. Yeah. Or whatever role he has, in the entourage. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. These guys. Yeah.
It's like, how do these people get these jobs? I don't know. I
Nepotism.
think
Yeah.
they're related.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be great. Like, I feel like cheated. Like, I don't have a family member that's really good at anything.
Me either.
I could have been. I think you'd be wonderful. You would steer them
Go apply. Yeah.
in the
I'm gonna
right
go apply for some
direction.
jobs. Yeah. I think
There you
that's
go.
what I learned from this
Yeah,
conversation is I just need to
yeah.
go apply for some jobs.
I mean, I think you're ready.
Yeah.
I think Mick could stand to do a lot worse. So I'm
Yeah.
just,
Yeah. He's doing great right now. So
yeah, that's true. He is.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seems happy.
He could be like Danny Ric, just making TikToks for
I know.
Red Bull. So
Oh my
at least they're
God,
giving him like
Danny.
actual work to do.
Well, Danny's gonna be. I know there's not much to say about it, but if people haven't heard, Danny Ric's gonna
Yeah.
be doing him and his buddy Will Arnett. Who people don't know, like they're good friends, and Will also has a Formula One podcast, not as good as ours.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But he's doing his little podcast
He's
over
done
there.
all right. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
right. Yeah.
I guess people have heard of him, but but yeah, him and Danny are going to be doing the broadcast on ESPN for what was it, Coda, Vegas, right?
Vegas, and then there was one more.
The Mexican Grand Prix, maybe, or is it?
Yeah,
I think it might be. Yeah,
it's three races. Yeah,
I can't remember, but it's 3 races. Yeah.
Wait, is it Canada? Maybe.
Oh, is it? Is it? I don't know.
I don't know, but yes, I'm very excited.
I'll look it up for the show notes for you guys.
Yeah.
And that way we'll know for sure. But yeah, they're going to be doing 3, like the full broadcast, like, you know, who's going to be
like a side cast or something.
Yeah, I don't. Is that? Oh, does it have a term? I didn't even know.
I think so, because it's like basically not the official commentary, but they'll be like on the side, along the side, so you could like listen to their broadcast. I don't know.
I don't even know how it's gonna. I don't know if it is gonna be I don't know. We'll look it up for you guys.
We'll see. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I feel like it'll be interesting. I'm excited to
hear his commentary.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether he's good at it or not. I'm always really interested to see how drivers, you know, how former drivers do in that role. Somewhere, because you can see there's a variety even amongst the ones that are working now. You know, there's definitely people who are better at it than others, and it has very little to do with how good they were as a driver. It's some other or there are other innate qualities that seem to be important for whether, you know, like Julian Palmer was not a good driver or at least didn't impress, let's just say, in his Formula One career. Who knows? You know, there are things or whatever. But he is literally my favorite commentator.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, no, he's really, if people don't, like if you have F1 TV, and if he's doing and he often is the one doing it, I highly recommend him because he's very good. Yeah, he's just, and he's like a little, I love his personality. He's like a little grumpy. Nice. You know, a little like he's like tough on, you know, he's not going to be like, you know, he's not going to be the type of commentator to be like, well, yeah, you know, he couldn't make the corner. Yeah, no, he'll be like, no, no. He's I love him. So he's really good. And then other people sometimes are like, I don't know, some people like when Jensen's doing it. I'm kind of like,
take it or leave it.
I think he's just okay. So I'll be curious how Danny is, because that'll be really interesting. I mean, he's of course a very engaging and fun personality and all that, but commentating's a whole different
I mean, we'll have Will Arnett, who I think is good at improvising stuff. I mean, like, I just enjoy hearing him talk about anything, really. He's funny. But this is kind of what I was talking about, I think, last podcast, where I was saying, like, I'm excited to see how ESPN sort of handles race commentary. Will they take it in a more entertaining route, slash informative, because I'm sure Danny will have some important, like, you know, feedback or whatever, but, you know, he's also going to be in the box with like his friend, like you said, so it's just going to be like how they make it relatable or how they make it enjoyable for you know, the American audience, so to speak, because I feel like Danny's just like one of those types of personalities that really transcends Formula One, much like Lewis Hamilton.
Totally.
You know, there's just something about them that's very like magnetic and charismatic and funny. And I mean, to hear him be a commentator, like, I hope that he, you know, eventually can find his way back to a seat. But in the meantime, I think this is, again, one of those moves where, like, I'm sure in the moment, to other people, it might seem like, you know, this is a big step back. But I also see Formula One as like this big marketing arms race, and it's like the more drivers can get in front of audiences, whether they're in the car or not, means that his star rises. So as long as he treats it seriously, to some regard of like, you know, I really have the opportunity to impress with how I, you know, bring this commentary, you know, I think it's actually a good move for him. Like, to your point, like, maybe he's not impressive in the car, but does he know his shit? Because that's been for a long time, like, that's kind of been his thing, where it's like, I'm not an engineer, I don't really know this about the car, I don't know that. So it's like, okay, well, what do you know? So I'm curious to hear what his perspective will be, you know, because, you know, you can't have Will Arnett in there and like barely knowing more than him, you know. He wasn't the Formula One driver, you were. So it'll be interesting.
And Will, like, if people don't know, like, Will, I think, is also
big
like a
fan.
fairly or a
Yeah. But
newer
he's a new
Formula
fan.
One
Yeah.
fan. Yeah, we're like the same as well.
Yep.
Arnett basically is what I'm saying. And again, our podcast is better. So that's a fact.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I think Danny, when you said, actually, you were saying that you'd like to, would you like to see him back in a race seat? I'm fine with him
Kind of.
not.
I
Really?
mean,
Okay.
yeah, I kind of want to see what, because again, it's like the situation I think at McLaren kind of played out in a way that I don't think was very fair to Daniel, like in terms of like his skill as a driver. Like, I don't think he just suddenly couldn't drive a car. Like that McLaren that they were driving was a dog, is a dog. Like, look at the car
Right.
now. It's supposed to be built around Lando, and I don't think he's good enough as like a lead driver to give feedback to develop the car. So here we are.
Yeah.
Danny's gone. The problem of the team apparently is gone, and the car is still a dog. So I don't think that.
However,
Yes,
I must interject and
yes,
say that yes, that's true that the car
yeah,
is a shitbox, and
yes,
that people. I think that was fair to say that. Well, Lando's been there for years, and also
right.
maybe he got used to it, and all these weird things and peculiarities about the
Mm-hmm.
car, and Danny came in and he couldn't do it. Now, first of all, even putting aside anything else, people do rightly, I think, talk about the mark of a truly excellent driver, someone who's more
Mm-hmm.
than just good, is someone
Right,
who can come into a new team in
right,
a different car and adapt themselves to it.
right.
So he didn't. That wasn't something that
It
he
didn't
was able
happen,
to
and that's a
do.
pattern for
He
him. Yeah.
tried. He did
Yeah.
try. Of course, I mean, like nobody disputes that he, I'm sure, tried his best. And they were trying also.
Right.
I think they were, especially during the first year and some of the second. They were trying to support
Right.
him. They were trying to do everything they could to. But we have an Oscar Piastri this year that has come into to a shittier car, and
Yeah.
even like they've taken a step back,
Yeah.
as people know. And he's been keeping pace with
Yeah.
Lando.
True.
So as a rookie who
Yeah.
sat out a year and didn't even drive last year, I'm
Absolutely.
sorry. That's like Danny's. I feel like, again, I really love him as a person. He's
Yeah.
great. Other than the whole not watching the news thing, we'll put that aside. That's fine. Not everyone has to
Yeah.
know what's going on with
Takes his brain out at
geopolitics,
night. Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. Like I to some extent it's more important if you're a good person, right? Kind of
Right.
whatever. But I mean, if Oscar had come
Yeah.
in and had like deep struggles the way that Danny had them, we would have been able to say,
Yeah.
okay, it's really like this car is just messed up and no one else other
Yeah.
than Lando can drive it because he's been there a long time. And he is, of course, considered to be a really high quality driver as well. People rate him extremely highly. But Oscar has come in and that is not the case. I mean,
they're not far off in points, but I feel like still,
yeah.
to me, I feel like what happened with McLaren was deeper than just like the drive. I feel like there was just like a lot of weird energy there. I mean,
Yeah.
I would just like to see him in a car to see if he completely fell off,
Yeah.
the way that we saw it play out, or, if there's more there for him. I mean,
Yeah.
he's still young
Yeah.
enough that I think he could, but again, I think this goes back to, and he's one of those drivers where it's like, I wish he would take it more serious, because you can't be like, I don't know how the car works. I don't know what this is. I'm not really an
Yep.
engineer, because
Yep.
that really is the difference. And speaking about Lewis, like, I think that's what he's able to teach George and Mick, potentially, is that like importance of, you have to be there knowing every inch of that car, how it functions, how to set it up, whatever. That's
Yep.
going to be the differentiator between you being good and being great. And I, again, I would love to hear Danny's commentary, because I want to actually hear his point of view. Like,
Yeah.
what do you actually know about this car, or is it just vibes? Have you just been
Yeah.
surviving on vibes this whole time? So we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, there are those drivers that they're excellent in, this car, one
Yeah.
of the cars they have during their career, and they do extremely, extremely well. and then that has happened with other drivers, and you could still say that they were excellent, they were good drivers, but that's a quality that if you don't have when you go to different, look at like a Carlos Sainz, who was like, there are people like, and people don't rate him as highly as they do, other drivers like Charles or George or, but he has the reason why he's still in Formula One and has continued on an upward trajectory always, is I think partially because of that, because he can adapt to whatever car, he can learn, he can he has talked both, this is now his second or third season of Ferrari, whatever it is. He seems to have always talked about that he starts out the year struggling, that there's this, there's that, and then he like gets on top of it. He's not gonna maybe necessarily be faster than Charles still, but he gets on top of it. Right. And he does the job, and that's why he still has a job. So I'm just like I will never be like a Danny Ric apologist. I just can't do it, because I'm like, because he's really nice, but facts are facts. Like,
that's true.
Again, you look at Oscar, and I'm like, look, I get it. Like, people can, he was very comfortable at Red Bull. Everything was good and happy. And even at Renault, he did, better than it was. That McLaren is just apparently, I don't know. But then that's how that they made the right decision, though, really, like with Oscar. I'm speaking of Oscar, like, I definitely, like, if people don't know, this kid, during when he was already living, you really all like have to move to the UK or wherever. Like, he took they call them A levels in it's like I guess it would be over here like advanced placement classes or honors or whatever you'd want to call it, something like that, classes. He got like straight A's on his A levels in like math, like physics, and like he could have been an engineer.
Nice.
So
I love that for him.
Yeah, I do too. Like,
that's awesome.
He also, if people don't know, he also started out model car racing the way our Lewis famously did.
Yeah.
And the whole, which I didn't even realize was that's like a whole world. Like, there's people, it's a whole thing.
Gosh. Yes, it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing. He has a very similar, like, I feel like he has, like, he really is special, I think. Because, again, to come into that team in this crappy ass car and to be almost right away, and I've seen there was like a story, like I saw a story where like Andrea Stella was talking about that they're very, very happy with Oscar. They think he's doing a phenomenal job, that he's really and you just see he's so professional and so put together, and
he's very
so
focused.
Like, it's amazing. Like, he reminds me, like, he's not like Lewis, but he reminds me of him in those ways. In the fact that he is, even though Lewis, like, famously, school was like the opposite type of experience for him. He talked about how and he wishes, like, he talks about how he wishes he could go back and learn more of those types of things, but yeah, like, he's just so focused. He's so, like, he seems wise beyond his years, think about when Lando came to McLaren. It was like, Oscar's now older than what Lando was back then, but it's still, it's still, he's very young.
I just think he's being very smart about the experience and like making sure that, like, because obviously he's not stupid. He sees how the last guy worked out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, to your point, like, he's very smart and very, like, dedicated to racing and to knowing everything about racing and the cars. And that goes a long way. Like, that's just genuinely the point, is that, like, you can be naturally fast, you can be talented, you can, have all these fearless qualities as a driver, but if you don't know your equipment, if you can't give that feedback to your team, there, you're at a disadvantage. And so, yes, to your point, like, he's a rookie in that this is his first year driving, but if he has all of that knowledge coming in, he's already in a better position than, like, most of the drivers on the
oh, totally
in the lineup who don't take that time to like really understand the ins and outs of their car.
Yeah, he does in the interview that when he was on, this was all from, I think Beyond the Grid was where I'm getting all this from, when he talked about all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, like, and he was going to school for like 3 days a week because he was racing, and he still aced all these tests. Okay, he's really smart. And I'm like, I just want everyone to know, like, look out for this guy, seriously, because look into his eyes. There's, you can see. He's, and I think, and I think Lando knows it too, although Lando's being very gracious. When they asked him about his qualifying, where he, qualified third in Spain, he was like, they were like, was that a Lando Norris qualifying special? And he was like, well, Oscar did very well too. And I was just like, oh, Lando. It was like this very nice, because he's like the team leader, of course. He's the, he's take on that role, but still, I think the Lando of a couple years ago or whatever might not have said something like that. I think he's maturing a little. A bit.
Nice.
A bit.
Yeah. Let's pray. Yeah,
I was like, oh, that's very sweet. I mean, because they're practically the same age. So, but Lando's already been there also. But I thought it was very nice, because normally they're all competitive. And of course, with your teammate, you're like most competitive. But Lando's doing maybe it would be a different story if they were, if they were like a Red Bull, but
right.
But he's being a good boy. He's being nice.
Gold star for you, Lando.
Yeah, gold star. But yeah, Oscar, I'm telling you, look out for this kid, because like he said he would have been, if he wasn't a driver, he would have probably gone to be like an engineer. I'm like, that should scare everyone, honestly. Because that's, you hear that type of thing about the best drivers, that they're they're not engineers, but their level of knowledge is. And I think that, and I really think Danny, I mean, that's, people talked about that a lot, and I think that's true. Like it wasn't like he got like found out, whatever, but like that's, I think it was just vibes as far as his driving, like he couldn't, he couldn't get beyond the thing where like you do things instinctively. And if you have to start doing things differently, you like, there was, I think it was in the thing I read, that Andrea Stella, when he was like praising Oscar, there was like something that, it was, I forget which race they were talking. I'll post a link for you guys in the show notes, but he was talking about the way Oscar drove, and I forget which race. He had like there was some like big problem, because that McLaren's everything's been, there've been like nothing but problems.
They don't have any brakes either.
Yeah, no. No, nothing's really working on that car. I don't know. It's like put together with like,
prayers. Have that car put together by like duct tape and prayers.
Yes, totally. Which, wow, yeah. But it was like he had some like big issue in the race, and they were thinking, they were like, they expected that, maybe that's it, he's not going to be able to continue. And they were like, no, but he just adjusted, and he kept, and I'm like, this is why, like, you got to all be scared of this kid. I'm just telling everyone right now.
Yeah, he's got the right temperament and the knowledge, and like, you got to be, it's the quiet ones you got to watch out for.
I'm telling you, yes. He's, there's, I'm gonna look into his eyes.
Heard much. You haven't really heard much about like from him, and so he's just quietly doing what he's doing.
I'm telling you all, look into his eyes. There's nothing there. I'm not saying like, I don't mean, he seems like a very nice person, but like it's like he's like the nice version of Max Verstappen. I feel like he's like I sort of feel a little bit like that. Like he's nice, and he's not, I don't think, I feel like he's a nicer person, and he's, but that he's just like, he's locked in. Like it's, he's not like, this is it. Like he's, this is, he's here to do the thing. Nothing's going to distract him. He's not playing no games. No, he's not out doing others, like, not that there's anything wrong with that. But I mean, Lewis earlier in his career too, I'm sure wasn't doing as much as, that somewhat came later. In the beginning, he probably was more, was focused more on just racing and not, in the early years, I would imagine. So, or more so than now. So yeah. But just a quick funny news item that I think everyone needs to know about. I didn't see anyone talking about this. It is so funny. So I don't know if you guys remember a certain Nikita Mazepin. I mean, I'm sure we'd all like to forget.
Yeah.
we'd all like to forget, I'm sure. But this is just too funny. This is just hilarious. Like if people don't know, so like when he got, tossed out because of the sanctions and everything, he took he took legal action against the UK Foreign Secretary. Basically, what? Yeah. He so that trial's not starting till July 19th, but there's always like pre-trial stuff and whatever things that happen. And so he's not allowed to come to the UK even because of the sanctions. And so lawyers representing him, they asked the judge at a hearing recently in London to suspend the sanctions in the interim so that he could travel to the United Kingdom in order to begin negotiations with Formula One teams based there.
What? I've never... Like, Nikita needs to give it up, for real. Like, this is just embarrassing to me. I feel like the sanctions honestly saved him in a way because his career in Formula One was shit. Yeah. And like them being like, you can no longer race in Formula One was basically like the mercy rule. There, you know what I mean? Like, take that and like go be a billionaire's kid and just enjoy whatever life you can have. Because like to me, it's like this like wanting what teams are going to take him. Like we're not talking about Lewis Hamilton or somebody that caliber being kicked out of Formula One. So number one, it's like the audacity of you to even think that anybody would want to take you back.
Imagine.
Fucking delusional.
Imagine this case hasn't started being adjudicated, but they're like, in the meantime, we really think you should let us back in the country so that we can meet with the Formula One teams.
Absolutely not.
In order to begin negotiations about what? About you being hired on as like a janitor or what?
Because, okay, let's talk about the UK-based teams. It's Mercedes, right?
Yeah, Red Bull, Alpine. I mean, they're all mostly, everyone's in the UK other than
So he's just going to, like, go door to door and, like, ask for meetings? Like, where is he going?
Can you just see him, like, knocking on the door?
Like,
and they're like, no, we're not letting
you
in.
Nobody's here,
It's like the security thing where you like ring the thing and they're like, no, I'm sorry, no solicitors.
Sorry, we don't want your oil money. We have other oil money. Like, I mean, I don't know what his deal is. But it's
delusion. His deal is delusion. Like imagine being delusional on such a level that you actually think that your performance in that year that you were driving is something worthwhile. I mean, again, they must think that they're going to give somebody a lot of money and that they will take you. But buddy, they don't nobody needs the money that badly anymore.
Absolutely not.
I mean, in the cost cap era, you don't need as much. And also nobody wants to deal with you. Nobody's going to want to, like, this is not like they took Nicholas Latifi's money. He was a really nice guy though, and he was
like
not
Drake and Nutella. And, like he just minded his business.
You can't be mad at that.
Oligarch's son, like
I mean, that's, and even they got rid of him.
Yeah.
If Williams, who has like no money also, didn't want a nice billionaire son, they ain't gonna want you, buddy. I mean, what do you think you bring to the table? I'm sorry. Like that's again, it's the confidence of the mediocre white man once again. That's what it is. He's like, in his mind, he's a Formula One driver. It's like people say that like everybody's a temporarily embarrassed millionaire. like that sort of thing. Like people who aren't rich or who aren't,
Right.
everyone, like that's the thing that people say about, Americans especially, where it's like
Right.
everyone in our minds, we're all like, just on the cusp of,
just temporarily poor.
Right. Nikita is
knocking
like
on the door of millions. Yeah,
that's like Nikita doesn't need the millions, so he's on the cusp of getting back into Formula One, I guess, in his opinion. And
he's
you're
out of
you're
his
not.
mind.
He's crazy.
You're out of your mind. It's not like he's an athlete from Russia who, like, was actually poor and this, like, truly fucked their lives.
Right.
To the point where, like, your dad is an oligarch. Like, the sanctions exist for him. Like,
I mean, exactly.
And by extension, you. So what makes you think that everybody, UK is going to be like, oh, yeah, sure, we'll just relax the sanctions? Like, for you?
I know. If you're going to relax the sanctions for somebody, it's not going to be this guy.
Again, like, what the hell? And his lawyers know damn well that they have no case. They're just taking his money.
Well,
so
they're
only smart people.
That's
in
their
this
job.
Scenario.
Yeah.
Getting paid for a case it's not going to go anywhere.
That's the name of the game, right? I mean, their lives are probably still better than like Donald Trump's.
Listen, if he needs another lawyer,
that's right. I've seen
a bunch of episodes of Law and Order, so I definitely could be a lawyer.
Yeah. I think you're ready.
Definitely,
yeah. I can't see it going any worse. So there. So he that that was not approved by the judge, in case you don't realize. That was the judge
the fact that they're even humoring this is like that's sending me also.
Well, I think that's just actually, like they have to. Yeah. It's when I read that sentence, he wanted to suspend the sanctions in the interim so he could travel to the United Kingdom in order to begin negotiations with Formula One teams based there. When I read that sentence, I think I just like fell out of my chair almost. I was like, what kind of a dream world are you living in? Like, this is, it's amazing that you can be this deluded. It's truly amazing.
Yeah.
I don't know how anyone gets like that. Okay, I've decided I don't care about Max's tax avoidance claims, although it is kind of, we were gonna talk about, like, it is kind of funny that, like, Max has been living in Monaco since he was 18, and only now there's been some kind of a slight hullabaloo raised about the fact that he's avoiding paying taxes, of course, in the Netherlands. And I'm like, okay, did you guys not know what's been going on? Right. I'm like, you think the Netherlands would miss his money even more than other, like, we all know what a major big deal everyone made about Lewis. Going to Monaco, even though it's like he
has residences in the UK. And
he still has, and he's like one of the top, like, taxpayers or something. Like, he's on, like, some FYI, if
facts,
you didn't know.
To people who don't believe in facts,
that's not important. Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, they're all just rich people, and rich people just avoid paying taxes.
I mean exactly. Like, honestly, like, at least someone like Lewis does a lot of good with his money, the way I see it.
Yeah.
And I found some of the justifications, like, from his, like, manager were really strange. Like, it was like, well, he pays taxes when there's an event in like when it's the Dutch Grand Prix, there's something he was, like, talking about that. I don't understand any of that. I would need to speak to, like, a international tax attorney or something to understand that. But I thought that was a bizarre thing to say, though, because, for everyone else, like, if people don't know, like, if you're an American citizen but you live abroad, you do still have to pay taxes. There's like I don't know.
Unless you denounce your citizenship, and then that's a whole other thing. But
I mean, I do think, I definitely think citizenship, the nationalism and countries and borders are a little silly in a sense, but Agreed. They do exist, and that for now we have, like, there's laws, and I'm like, does the Netherlands really need they seem to be a pretty well off country overall. They actually, you know, take care of people, with social welfare,
I mean, well,
things
it
like
wasn't a
that.
problem that he was avoiding taxes when they gave him that like knighthood or whatever the equivalent was. So it's
Yeah,
like,
they didn't seem to
who cares,
mind.
you know? Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying this, but you know, who cares? Like, this is
Yeah.
not a Max problem that I care to really.
It's out of my tax bracket. I'll say that much. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
this
like paying
is.
taxes either.
I know who likes paying taxes. I mean, I will say that, like, actually, well, not us. We're probably paying all the taxes we need to pay, but of course,
Right.
really, really rich people here in the U.S. do need to
Yeah.
pay a lot more in taxes. So we would actually
Absolutely.
have, you know, a functional government then perhaps.
Yeah.
But that doesn't apply to us, obviously. So, yeah. And then, of course, obviously, the most important news of the week, I think we do have to address, is that, you know, perhaps, we don't know, but Lewis Hamilton might be dating one Shakira. And
Ooh.
I think this is important, you know.
I do too.
I think it's extremely important because
I agree.
It's like, yeah, I mean, it's
like a cultural crossover of a lifetime, first of all. Like,
I really hope it's true. How do you feel?
Okay, so at first I thought that the images of them, like, you know, at dinner and stuff, especially like in the group shots, like to me it kind of read more like two platonic friends having a group dinner. Not much to read into there. And, you know, yes, she's come to like a race or so, but you know, it's just, it didn't really like read romance or romantic to me. So hearing reports that, you know, at least right now they're in like a talking stage or like a casual dating, whatever. I think it's great. I mean, to be honest, I would have never picked them to be like a couple, like in terms of like, if I could have thought of like a person Lewis Hamilton would date, like I don't know that Shakira would be on it, but also it's Shakira, so why wouldn't she be on it? You know what I mean?
Also, now that it's like, now it kind of makes sense. I feel like it kind of makes sense.
Yeah,
like,
I agree. I like it. I don't know. It seems fun, and you know, she's had a pretty rough year. So I feel like if nothing else, I just hope that they're just like having fun, hanging out together. I feel like he needs to date somebody. It's been a while since he's publicly dated. I'm sure he's had, you know, dates, but you know, it's been a long time. I don't know. It just also felt like they were like fucking with us, to be quite honest. Like they saw in Miami, you know, the whole yacht picture. She gets on the yacht with them. I think
way he like helped her onto the boat. It was really well. Of course, like, I think Lewis would do that for anyone. He seems like a, you know.
But it just also was like, you know, I was tweeting. I was like, I love when celebrities like lean into the rumors, even if it's not true. Like let's just have fun with them.
It's
like
fun.
Why not? Because everybody knows every aspect of your life anyway. You might as well have fun with it. So that's kind of how it read to me, was like they were sort of trolling us a little bit, like, oh, you think we're dating, so let's go on a date. But like the date is like 6 other people are there with them, you know?
Yeah. Well, in my mind they're dating, and in my mind Lewis's most recent thirst trap was for Shakira,
dedicated to her.
I think that's what I'm going with, because, you know, I mean, he does, like, I'm just choosing to ignore the fact that he posts those all the time. You know, whether he's potentially wooing a new lady or not. But I'm just gonna, it just seemed like a very opportune, you know, and it was a little, I don't know.
Well,
yeah, I mean,
live a little, date it.
Yeah.
Shakira, I'm actually jealous.
I mean, I know. I'm jealous of both of them. Right?
Like, she just seems like a cool person to be around, so I don't know.
I mean, I think it would be actually, like, I really want it to become like a thing, and I want it to like become like a big deal, because I feel like it would be perfect. Like Lewis is like, she's already got 2 kids with that jackass, and you know, because who cheats on Shakira? I mean, people cheat for all kinds of reasons, whatever. But like, my God, honestly, but
red flag,
very much. And so, like, I feel like it would be so good, because like she's already got kids. Like Lewis has talked about, like, he would like to maybe have kids, but like he's getting. I mean, he's, you know,
he's up there.
He's getting up there, and like he'd have
again. Al Pacino had a baby. He's like 80 years old, so it's never too late.
That's true.
When you're a guy, you know.
Yeah, but then the woman also has to be in Shakira. If people don't know, Shakira is like, she's like, what? She's like 8 years older than Lewis.
Yeah.
She's quite a lot older.
That made me excited, because I was
I
like,
love it.
he's actually dating somebody older than him. And we already know how athletes, do when they get, they like to date the younger girls, which is, we could just
whatever
here nor there, but whatever. It's just
yeah
still the fact that she's like a woman of color and she's 46 and she has 2 kids. Like, I just think that like there's just something very cool about that.
yes
Because we don't ever see that. At this point, Shakira would be considered a spinster or whatever the term would, you know what I mean? Like damaged goods, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, I think that's just like such a cool, like, and it's maybe such a low bar too, because it's like, damn, like,
it is, but it's like, but it
she's
is,
not
but
fucking,
yeah. I mean,
she's
she's
not a
Shakira
grandpa.
still,
Yeah.
she's still
She's still
Shakira.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I found out,
But
I didn't
that's so
realize how old
cool.
she was. And I
Yeah.
definitely was like, whoa. Like
Yeah.
I look, cause like you see her and you're like, I'm like, you
Yeah.
don't look, I mean, not how, I don't know, anyone should look at any age particularly. And then, and then I did think to myself, Tasha says, I have great skin. And I'm younger than Shakira, but I'm like, I think I look pretty good for my age. And I don't have, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't be so impressed by Shakira. Maybe I'm Shakira.
Absolutely.
Like I channeled,
no, but it's true.
I channeled my inner Tasha, and I was like, yeah,
it's true. It's all about energy. Like she exudes like a youthful energy.
Oh
Lewis
yeah, totally.
exudes a youthful energy. Like they very much. I've thought a lot about this. You know what I mean? Like
so have I. I feel like it would be so good because, like, I feel like, like she with this guy that she was married to, she talks about how she had to basically put her career on hold because he was people don't know, he's a soccer player, and he had to go, and she basically had to be home and take care of the kids, and which I'm sure she was happy to take care of her kids, but like she couldn't do anything with her career that she wanted to, and she had to kind of be there for him and support him. And I'm like, that would not happen with Lewis.
Yeah.
Lewis would he would be like, I feel like it would be the opposite. It would be the total opposite. I mean, he already, when he dated, Nicole Scherzinger, she had a thriving career as well. And he was never, threatened or any, any kind of thing. But like, I feel like he needs someone who can match kind of that, that energy. And I feel like,
that balance.
I'm like, it's so perfect. I'll be so sad if it doesn't work out, but that's, whatever.
But I'm also just happy if it's casual, to be quite honest. I'm like, we need to see, like, everything doesn't have to be like a long-term relationship.
No, or, or if it starts out casual and then maybe.
Flirty and it's fun. It's summer, like, hello, like, just hang out, have
Shakira
rosé
summer
on the roof. Yeah. Hot Shakira. Absolutely.
I mean,
and then if they break up or like, if they stay together, maybe we'll get a song out of it. I don't know. Like, I thought that was like potentially a thing. I was like, maybe they're making a secret album together.
Oh, that would be cool too. Kind of fun. Yes.
There's like a lot of ways that this can go.
I could see it. Yeah. That's another reason why that would be like, Lewis is super into music. She's, a musician. It would be, it would be so great. I heard somebody online was telling me on Twitter, they were like, they said something like that she could teach Lewis to dance. And I was like, that is so
he
cute.
Needs it. Yes. Oh my God.
I was.
I love Lewis Hamilton. Lewis Hamilton is my guy. He cannot dance. The poor, but like he can't have everything. God had to humble him somehow.
Yeah,
he was like, listen, if we give you hips that don't lie, you'll have too much power.
Well,
like,
I mean, I'm just gonna go ahead and say that I think that like anything else, if Lewis had like a few lessons, he'd probably be like he's because he can like do anything seemingly.
Yeah.
So like I think that he just hasn't had the proper instruction, and who better than Shakira to provide it to him?
If he comes out belly dancing at any point, I think
we will be very grateful. Everyone would be very grateful to Shakira, even if it doesn't last.
Yeah.
Can you imagine? He's going to start incorporating it into his fitness routine.
Yeah.
I could totally see that happening because he's really into yoga and like Pilates. He called it. I saw this interview. Pilates. I have to put a link for you guys. Yeah, I missed this from the Miami Grand Prix. He had a nice little sit down with ESPN, And so it was an American, some kind of ESPN woman who I don't know. And I'm sure ESPN has lots of people working for them. But yeah, it was actually a really cute interview. If you guys haven't seen it, I will put a link. And Tasha, she also asked him about the skincare routine. Yes. And he refused to say. And in fact, he was like, it wasn't so much like, yeah,
I have to get down to the bottom of this.
He's keeping secrets. He's keeping secrets on purpose.
Maybe he's telling you, a skincare line. And he's just like, it's all testers.
Maybe. I think he just kind of doesn't want to give it away. That's what it seemed like. He was like, well, I can't tell you.
To give it up because I need to know.
He's not telling.
Lewis,
he is not telling.
Maybe we'll get Shakira to figure it out for us. We need to get in touch with Shakira.
Okay, yeah, that's gonna happen.
We need some recon, and we need to know. Just take a selfie in front of his medicine cabinet and post it. And I'll be able to zoom in and get the information that I need because I just have to know. Like, why is it a secret? Like at this point, I need to know why it's a secret. You know what I mean?
I think he's just.
Do you have like a 12-step routine, and you don't want to tell me that it's 12 steps?
I don't. It could be. It could be. He's. All he was willing to admit in that interview was that he washes his face, and he does it a bunch of times a day because he's training. Several times a day, so he's gonna get all sweaty as we've seen in the many pictures. And so he washes his face, and he wouldn't say much. And she was even like she did press him a little.
She's pressing him.
Yeah, she pressed him a little, and he was like, I can't tell you. And it was very cute, actually. It was a cute interaction. It was if you it sounds like you need to check out the show notes once the episode comes out, and then you can see I'll send you the link. But and she was like, fine, don't tell me, be mean.
He's so open about everything else in his life that it actually does shock me that he's so secretive about his skincare routine.
Yeah, some things that he's
like, maybe it's just that one thing. He's like, this is that one thing.
If you had the secret,
celebrities all have that line, where they're like, this is that one thing that I want to talk about. Maybe it's his skincare routine.
I think it sort of seems like it.
And maybe he sets a vibe, and maybe it's like, I don't know, $500 creams. Maybe he doesn't want to say.
I think it's hilarious that he's
maybe he's taking milk baths.
It's funny.
Like the queen of Egypt, like Cleopatra. Maybe he has like a very, very ancient ritual that keeps him young.
See that.
Honestly, what I mean. I'm gonna get down to the bottom of this.
If you had the maybe you'd keep it to yourself too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's listen. Like if I maybe I'd also keep it secret. Maybe I'd be like, I don't want anyone else looking this good. I'm like just gonna keep that for myself.
Hey, keep that in the pocket.
I know. I'm now intensely curious, and I don't care about skincare routines. I couldn't care less. But because of the fact that he it's on so far as far as I know, it's just 2 occasions that he was asked about it, and like the TikTok live, he didn't exactly try to keep thing. He just was like circumspect about it. He just was like, I use a serum or something through the, like he just didn't, he didn't go into a great level of detail, but yeah, I think you have some good theories about that. Maybe it is like 12-step, maybe it's something like that. And he doesn't want to say, I mean, I feel like he's got the time, like in the sense that, he obviously he takes very good care of himself, obviously. And maybe that extends to but he tried to play it off. He was like, well, you learn about and he's like, in being plant-based now that I've done it for however many years, and he's like, oh, and I drink a lot of water. He did say he drinks. He's like, I drink a lot of water. I'm like, Lewis, we all know about the water.
Well,
like,
we've seen the bottle, Lewis. We know you drink water. We know.
He said when he's training, it's 4 liters a day. When he's
wild.
I know. He said it wouldn't be that much if he wasn't, training. He said it would be less. But he did. It was no, it was a cute interview. You do see oftentimes with when it's somebody else interviewing him who's not typically interviewing him, you tend to actually often see I feel like very good interviews. Like there was one I think it was the Australian Grand Prix. There was an Australian journalist that interviewed him there, and it was really good. It was like very special if people didn't see that. I think you'd find that possibly in the show notes of our episode of that, but so it's always, I feel like it's a little different but there were still the annoying, like, I'm like, when will people stop asking him, like, if he's not motivated, if his car is not good or whatever, like that kind of, there was like some element of that in that one. I'm like, I don't think it's like, remember how on our last episode we were talking about how it seems like people, a lot of commentators and pundits talk about Formula One the way they think it should be, or instead of what it actually is.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like it's the same thing with Lewis. Like, people talk about Lewis the way that they want him to be or think he should be, instead of how he actually is. Like, he's very open and honest and forthright about how, but people like don't believe him.
Yeah, like today actually was funny because the whole thing. They're both Toto and Lewis are in New York for there's like a Forbes summit today.
Yep.
And somebody tweeted out like, so looks like Lewis is staying at Mercedes and some other stuff. And I was just like, yeah, because this is what Lewis and Toto have been saying for at least the last year. Like, he's not going anywhere. It's just details. So it's just like, but again, because people wanted this narrative about him going to Ferrari to be true or even a possibility, it was just funny. It's like, yeah, you're not breaking any news here because obviously Lewis has said out of his own mouth why. I don't know.
Last season, do you remember? It was literally every week. I feel like last year, especially when, the car was even worse, that people were like, every single week there was somebody with an opinion that Lewis is going to leave the sport. Lewis is going to retire. Lewis doesn't want to deal with this. Lewis is like, meanwhile, Lewis kept saying that he's not, that he's like, and now he talks about that all the time still. He's like, I think that's made us stronger as a team. We've had to pull together during a rough time, which we didn't, we haven't experienced that obviously during all the years before when things were going much better. He's like, I think it's made us stronger. I enjoy still. He keeps saying, I enjoy what I'm doing. I'm here. That he even said in that lie detector thing, they asked him if he's going to stay till he wins his 8th. He said yes. I mean, you hooked the man up to a lie detector test, and then you still don't believe him.
They could give him like the truth serum, like in True Lies.
Yes.
When they gave him the truth serum, and like but he could get that, and like they would still be like, the sky is orange, down is up. Like whatever he says, they're always going to think the opposite of what he actually is saying. I'm actually dreading them asking him about Shakira, to be quite honest. Like,
I know,
because as soon as he says like, oh, we're not dating, or if he tries to, it's going to be like, Lewis and Shakira are getting married, you know what I mean? Like, he's like, oh, it's just casual, whatever.
Totally.
Like,
oh my God, no, the funniest
Shakira's kids, like, what?
The funniest thing I saw was that one of the many stupid websites that cover or pretend to cover Formula One, whatever, but it's just like, copying and pasting stuff from other places or whatever. I actually saw, like, before we started recording, it was like, they claimed that there's like a love triangle with Shakira, Lewis, and Tom Cruise.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Because that was a thing that happened. Like, Tom was very, like, that was, people know, like, Tom at the Miami Grand Prix, they spent some time together, just talking and whatever, hanging out. Like, Tom was there, Shakira was there, we're two famous people, I guess, we're gonna talk to each other. And and apparently Tom was interested in something more, but Shakira was not. And I mean, who could blame her if Lewis Hamilton is right there? I'm just saying, Tom Cruise, Lewis Hamilton. I mean, that was the right call. But yeah, she was like, this website was trying to make it seem like it was like some kind of. I was like, you are on crack. Like, this is no. Yeah, but so I know. I kind of, I'm dreading if he gets asked about it, but I think it'll be interesting because maybe I wonder if he will get asked about it or not. It does seem like he probably will at some point.
Because Alonso got asked about Taylor Swift, even though we all know that was like a long shot and obviously not true.
Yeah, no.
But
but they had to.
In some ways, it's like high school. It's like when like
oh my God, totally.
It reminds me of like when somebody had like a crush on somebody else, and then all your friends would make it like a big deal. It's like, ooh, Tasha has a crush on whatever, and it's like, can you guys stop being weird? Like, oh
my God, yes.
Weird about it. Like,
the Formula One paddock is very much like high school, so that tracks.
Yeah.
That tracks. Yeah. I and that was enjoyable, the Taylor Swift thing. Like I mean that was like fun. I mean I know people thought it was stupid when they like in commentary they were using Taylor Swift song lyrics.
Yeah, that was a bit much.
That was a bit much.
Like, I need you to wrap this up by Monday. Like, no more.
Yeah. No, it was
Hope
more
you can
fun.
shake it off. Like, no, you're done. You're done. You're done. Enough.
I know. That was very cringe for sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, I know you guys have like some your producers gave you like a list. You don't know any Taylor Swift songs. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Okay. All right. We need to get to tweet of the week. And tweet of the week is again from a loyal listener this week, a very loyal listener. I had tweeted on our account about how unsurprisingly, Red Bull's in the lead so far this season on fastest pit stops, like they always are, it seems like, and they have executed. Actually, this is very interesting and sad for example, Mercedes. Now, I don't care about Mercedes, but I care about Lewis. I'll just keep saying that because I don't really like. I definitely like. I am sorry to people who are but I will never be able to like buy a Mercedes hat or a Mercedes because I'm like I feel like for me it's yucky. I totally respect everyone else buying whatever merch you want or whatever, but it would have to be like a Lewis thing, or would have to say like, you know, anyway.
Or something on it.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'm like, I can't wear, I would feel like a tool. But yeah, so Red Bull's in the lead, you know, so far in pit stops. They had the fastest pit stop so far this season at the Spanish Grand Prix. Second in the pit stop standings, by the way, so far is Ferrari, and Alpine is in third. And that could all change. We've only, you know, a third way into the season, but you know, I just want to say, Mercedes, you need to step it up because this car is not fast enough for you to be messing around.
In the 3 second pit stops only, and honestly sub 2-4, like guys, like
ideally,
I yell every weekend. I'm like, what are we doing
here? It's not good.
Why is nobody ready for these pit stops?
It's really not good. It's really not good. It's embarrassing for a top team. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's like because I looked into this a little bit. I was like, well, how was it last season? Last season, when the car was a tractor, even worse than the current one, they finished out the season 8th in pit stops. The only people who were worse were Alfa Romeo and Haas.
That is terrible.
That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing.
Mercedes not like cracking heads and stuff down there, like Toto.
I don't get it.
Like, get down there and start putting a fire under people's ass. Like, what?
Don't understand.
Here? I could change a tire. I feel like Lewis could get out of the car and change his own 4 tires. And get out of there faster than they are. Like, I don't understand. It's not good. At all.
No, it's just not good enough. Like people talk about them, but I have to say, like, this is something I have to like give to Red Bull and like take my hat off to them, and not just, I don't mean just the fact that they do fast pit stops, but the fact that they don't let up even when they're dominating. Yeah. You know, people talk about the fact that Mercedes, you know, oh, maybe they're not used to having to do fast pit stops because they had all those years of where it didn't matter. Like you could have done a slow pit stop and the car was a rocket ship, so it didn't matter. And you had, you know, and lose. But I'm like, what do you call a Max Verstappen in a 2023 Red Bull? Like that is the combination of car and driver there is the guy is finishing, you know, 15 seconds up the road or whatever. And they're still doing the fastest pit stops. Still. Absolutely. Even with that, like they're not this, you have to hand it to them, like that their attitude is like balls to the wall, no matter what. Yep. Even if you're at the front.
That one guy who works for Red Bull, the mechanic, has time to tweet.
Right.
And change a tire really fast. So
I mean,
Mercedes, what are we doing here?
Like, I don't know what we're doing here. I don't know, but that's why the tweet of the week is from our loyal listener Asif, who he tweeted in response to that, Mercedes pit crew revealed, and he had this photo of like these guys. Like, I'm gonna try to show you. They're like, I don't know. It's like a bunch of underwear models. They're like outfit. Like, it's actually kind of in a way, I looked at it and I was like, you know, I think those guys could actually do a good job, but that they look very fit. And they actually look very fit. You know, they're all like, underwear models basically. So they're, they're looking pretty good. And they seem, but, I don't know if they have the right exact skills or muscle groups, that you need for those pit stops. But you see those guys in the pits and or girls, or whoever, and they're, they're very fit. You have to be, obviously. But I'm like, listen, Mercedes, like, they're famously, I don't know how famous this is, but I heard a thing about how last season Ferrari, I actually looked it up. So last season they finished 4th in the standings, which isn't that bad. But even so, I remember them getting flack for having not great pit stops. And Fred Vasseur, when he came in this season over the winter, allegedly, he had them do like hundreds of pit stops. Like he wanted to whip them into shape. I'm like, Toto, why aren't you having these people do hundreds of pit stops? Like, it obviously worked. Like,
and Ferrari, I thought that would have been something that they would have done over, because I do remember last season the pit stops were so
That's
slow.
why they finished in 8th. And how are you Mercedes and you're finishing in 8th? Like, that's embarrassing.
Yeah,
that's embarrassing.
I mean,
think about the only ones who were worse were Alfa Romeo and Haas, guys. Like, that is a no. If there was
honestly, if you think about that with Alfa Romeo and Haas, like, half the time they were just changing out like front wings. So obviously they were having like 15-30-second pits. But like, Mercedes, what is your excuse?
None. There's no excuse. They're just not good, and they need to get better at that. I mean, like, listen, right now you're not in a place where it would matter one way or the other, because Max is, somewhere in a different time zone.
Yeah, he's in a different stratosphere right now.
But that eventually that could change, and then you need to be ready. You need to be ready to not screw it up.
I mean, they still have to fight for P2 and constructor. I mean,
exactly.
Like, that's huge. I mean, like, Aston, we've seen just like a second slow or, whatever slow pit stop can be the difference between you undercutting somebody and like that not happening. So
that's right.
It is like a big deal that Mercedes, of all the teams, is Lewis and George, because I feel like they both are a great pair on the grid. They can only outdrive the car so much.
Exactly.
And strategy is like a huge aspect. So it's appalling. I dread when they do pits every week. I'm like, oh,
it's
my
not
God.
Good.
I'm like crossing my fingers.
Yeah.
And it's like 3.2. And I'm like,
yeah.
3.2?
No.
Like,
what are you doing?
What are we doing here? Amateur hour? Like, what are we doing? So
it's like, it's just not.
I mean,
again, like, I was just the most shocked by that when I looked at last season. Now, I understand things were very tough last season, and maybe that was not your first priority, but like, especially like last season, we weren't as far back technically from everyone else as, there were, we were not where, but there wasn't like a front runner last season like there is this season. So you could have, maybe there would have been, so I don't know, maybe there would have been some better results with some, I'm not sure if the pit stops were better. I mean, it's just embarrassing for Mercedes, I feel, it's like nuts, to be in 8th. Like, you have, if even Ferrari could finish in 4th.
This car eats tires, so they've got to do more pit stops.
Right.
Like,
well, maybe that's why they're better at them. I don't know, but
yeah, pretty much. But
it's just not good enough. It's embarrassing. It's like, not, again, like Red Bull, like they don't even need to do. They could do like a 5-second pit stop and it wouldn't matter.
They could do a 20-second pit stop. Max could get out, eat a sandwich,
right,
stretch a little bit, probably go to the bathroom, come back, then leave, and he would still finish 30 seconds ahead of everybody else.
Yeah, and they're still doing, like that is a team DNA thing that they have. I mean, of course they're like known for that, like they always have been, like ever since they, ever since they got into Formula One, they've always been known for those pit stops. But like, you can improve. You maybe you're not going to reach that level, but you can at least get better. So please. And maybe hire these guys that Asif tweeted us about, because they look ready to me. I was like, where did you get this from? It's hilarious. So congratulations, Asif. And I know he's a loyal listener, so we appreciate you and we love you.
Thank you.
And thanks for making us laugh. That is it for us this week, I would say. Don't forget to, of course, rate, review, do all the things. You can also send us an email if you have any comments, questions, or suggestions, which is Racing Incident Pod, POD, racingincidentpod@gmail.com. If you want to tell us something in the longer format than tweets or Instagram posts or whatever. And then you can also go to our website, racingincident.com as well. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Let's get ready for Canada.
Woo!
Woo. I actually will be I will be having to watch that race at a later time. I'm going to the IndyCar race actually on Sunday. Yeah, if anyone's listening to this who's going to Road America, hit me up like on Twitter or wherever, and we could hang out. I will only be there on Sunday. So yeah, it's a short time window because that's all I can do. But yeah, I'm going to be there for that. And the race is at roughly the same time as because now this is in Canada. Normally that would have not been an issue. Yeah. But it's, so I'm going to, I'm probably going to be like checking. I don't know. I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. I've never had this problem of like, I'm at a race. This is actually going to be my first ever real life race altogether.
That's
so
cool.
I'm super excited. So yeah, let me know if you're going to be there. Yeah. So we'll see Canada. We'll see what it's all going to be about. And, and I'll just say that that I don't know if you saw, but Sky made a graphic for the Canada Grand Prix, and they put like Lance in the center, and Max and Lewis are on either side of him, and it is the funniest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, this is, guys, like, we get it, he's Canadian, but like, this is one of these things is not like the other.
Like,
Lance. What is going on?
Our sweet Lance.
Well,
like, this will sell tickets to the Canadian GP. Yeah.
I mean, maybe this will. Maybe Lance could have a really good result here. It's entirely possible. He does have a good car, so we'll see. If he can. He's gonna try to put on a show for the home crowd. Perhaps I would be happy for him if. I would love that for him. I think that would be good. So yeah. Anyway. So yeah. That's that's it from us.
It'll be like Nikita Mazepin when he's actually showed up to the Russian GP. Pretty well. Like, I gotta represent
Nikita.
Yeah.
Nikita. Just what can you say? So yeah.
Good luck with your appeal, Nikita. Yeah.
Good luck with that. I don't think it's gonna.
Can't wait to see how it goes.
I wouldn't get your hopes up.
I'm sure the result will be as mysterious as who wins the next GP. Like,
exactly.
I wonder what would happen.
Yeah. All right. We will talk to you guys next week, where maybe I'm hoping we'll have more information on Lewis and Shakira by then, but we'll see. Might be another thing that remains a mystery. We'll see.
Right. We'll just have to make some shit up like everybody else does. It'll be fine.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. I'm like, but that's it. I'm gonna become F1 head of original content.
Yeah.
Basically is what I'm gonna do. I'm assigning myself that role, and I'm just gonna write fanfic about I think that's what the role should be.
That should be an episode, because honestly, F1 fanfic is like,
I've heard,
very, very like intense.
Yeah.
And I would love to talk to somebody about that.
Oh yeah, we should. We should do it. Yeah, we should. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
Stay tuned, because that is happening. And
email us your faves.
Yeah, let us know if you have any faves
for research.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, because I don't know. I know I'm probably you have to go on Tumblr, or you have to go. Where do you have to go?
I think they're a little bit everywhere. Like,
okay.
I've seen TikToks. I've seen Tumblr.
Yeah, let us know.
But
guys, let us know if you have any,
and who your favorite authors are, and
yes. Because I think we need to definitely discuss that. Okay,
I would love to deep dive that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right, guys, we will talk to you next week, and hope you have a good week in the meantime. Bye.